All right, today everything should be good. All right. Shit, hold on. I want to take some time out. Today was one of my friend's birthdays. Give her a little birthday shout out. Happy birthday, Abby. She probably won't see this for a minute, but she'll still make good content. You know, she'll see it. She'll see it when she sees it. But anyway, today we got why Death Row Records was bound to self-destruct, and I just want to say that, yeah, I was a big like Tupac fan, even though like I mean, he lived and died before I was even born, type shit. It was just cool to see his inspiration, his rhymes and shit. The way he rhymed, like it just, I don't know, no one ever came close to it to me. So yeah, you know, I'm a big Pac fan. So of course we're gonna be reacting to this, this video about Death Row Records. Um, so shit. Less yapping, more watching. Let's go.
Death Row Records was one of the most legendary labels in the history of West Coast hip-hop. But even though the label has some of the best rappers of all time, they only stayed on top for a few years. From gang war and torture to internal beef and death threats.
And I just want to say this early, man. I blame the fall off of Death Row on Suge Knight. Because I mean, eventually Dre left, but it's because Suge Knight was too involved in the streets, too involved in this and that. But had he just stayed and grinded, bro, like Death Row could have been big. They could have been like, they could have still been around today, is what I'm saying. Like they could have been generational type shit. And yeah, and I'm not, and I know I'm glazing, but then again, I know I sound like an old head, or maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I might be glazing. But that's how I feel about that. I think that Death Row could have been a generational thing. I mean, you got Snoop Dogg, you got Tupac. Look at Snoop Dogg today, right? Let's look at Snoop Dogg today. He does literally everything, bro. So yeah, I mean, look, he's big as fuck. Hold on, before I continue, let me make sure I'm recording. Yeah, we're recording over here. All right, cool. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Look at how big Snoop Dogg is today. You know, current day. He's on everything. He's, you know, his commercials. Other, even like other rappers' music videos, bro. Like from like other countries and shit. Snoop Dogg is really big, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Like just looking at how Snoop Dogg went, Death Row could have been like really big and shit like that. Look at Dr. Dre, too. Him, the success he found with Eminem, bro. I'm just, you know, you get the point. Death Row could have been big.
This is the wild story of the rise and fall of Death Row. Death Row Records was created as a partnership between Dr. Dre and his former bodyguard, Suge Knight.
Damn
Dr. Dre already had
bro.
a name in the industry because of NWA.
Literally was
but by
working
the early
security
90s,
like I do, bro.
the crew was starting to fall apart. Other members of the group, like Ice Cube and Arabian Prince, had already left over contract disputes, and by 91, Dre was also having problems. NWA was signed to Eazy-E's Ruthless Records, which was co-founded by his manager Jerry Heller. Ice Cube and others accused Jerry of doing shady business and refusing to pay the group what they were worth. Even though Dre stuck it out longer than Ice Cube, eventually, he started to get tired of not having control over his career. So, that's when Dre first got the idea to partner with Suge. Suge was a former NFL player turned bodyguard and concert promoter.
Damn, YouTube Premium coming soon. Damn, Suge, so you could have been in the NFL, bro, and now you're sitting in a prison cell, bro. Come on, man. Come on. Shame on you, Suge. Shame on Suge Knight.
Became affiliated with the Mob Piru set of the Bloods. Suge was always a big dude at 6'2", 265 pounds, and played football at El Camino College and UNLV.
He was in the
He even
NFL.
had a short career in the NFL, but was dropped after only 2 games.
Damn.
After his football career didn't work out, Suge found work in the entertainment industry as a promoter and bodyguard for high-profile artists like Bobby Brown. But Suge wasn't satisfied just being a bodyguard and wanted to become a manager and executive too.
Right, so and that's fine, bro. It's always good to want to level up, bro. But man, like, make sure you have the right mindset and the right intention with it. You know what I'm saying? And don't let these earthly things, you know, consume you. Don't let, you know, the streets or the money, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't let it consume you and change who you are and change what you originally came to do. Yeah, man. Just it's okay to want to level up. Just make sure you got your head straight.
Company and signed artists like DJ Quick and the DOC. The DOC had worked with NWA, and Dr. Dre was his main producer. He was the one who first connected Dre with Suge, and soon they all started working together.
Right.
He saw how unhappy he was in his deal with Ruthless and convinced him to leave NWA and partner up. Suge offered Dre part ownership in a new company and the creative freedom that Jerry Heller would never let him have. Eventually, Dre agreed, but there was only one problem. He still had a contract with Ruthless. So Suge agreed to help him get out of the deal and was willing to do whatever it took. That was one of the early signs that Death Row was bound to fail. Even though Suge did have good business sense, he brought a street mentality into the music industry and took what he wanted using violence and intimidation. Before starting Death Row, Suge got his reputation in the industry after allegedly hanging Vanilla Ice off a balcony. Suge had a client named Mario Jackson who claimed to have written parts of Vanilla Ice's breakout hit, Ice Ice Baby. Suge had confronted Vanilla Ice about it, but kept getting blown off. So, according to rumors, Suge went to his hotel room and hung Vanilla Ice off a balcony by his ankles until he agreed to sign some royalties over. Vanilla Ice later denied that happened and said Suge only threatened him and that it was later resolved in court. Either way, Suge got a major payday from it and started building a feared reputation in the industry. Suge used the royalty money to start his own.
And also too, that people like to I just want to speak on this too, because people like to normalize this or think it's cool to get clout off fear, bro. Yeah, I guess it is good, fear, admiration through fear, admiration through shit. No, I messed up. They, you know what I'm saying. What I was trying to say is it's good to have people admire you, not to fear you, type shit. And I guess yeah, you do get what you want, but it's not in a good sense. It's not in a good way. You know what I'm saying? It's not good. It's
label with Dre. Together,
but
they
some people like
invested
that though. Some people like
$250,000
that,
to set up
that
Future Shock
fear me
Records,
type
which
attitude,
later became Death Row Records. Everything was looking good, but they still needed to figure out how to get Dre out of his contract with Ruthless Records, and Suge knew exactly what to do. Suge used the same playbook that helped him get a check from Vanilla Ice and used violence to get exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put anything
According
past
to Jerry
Suge.
Heller and Eazy-E, Suge threatened to kill them if they didn't let Dre out of his contract. In addition to Dre, Suge also convinced Jerry to release the DOC and the singer, Michelet, who became the first artist to sign with Death Row. Eazy later sued Dre for breaking his contract and still kept some of his publishing rights. But Dre leaving the group basically ended NWA and sparked a beef between Dr. Dre and Eazy-E.
And that was,
meanwhile, Suge got exactly what he wanted and found a way to separate Dre from his old group so he could focus on the future of Death Row Records. But from the start, things got sketchy and the label started falling apart fast. The label's first big project was a soundtrack to the movie Deep Cover. Dre made a track for the movie and featured Snoop Dogg, who had just signed to the label.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even trying to cloud Snoop Dogg or anything. Snoop Dogg is a huge inspiration and everything like that to me. He's pretty cool. But when I first saw him, and I was cause growing up, I've always been used to dread Snoop, you know what I'm saying, long dread Snoop Dogg, and him kind of looking older. When I first saw what he looked like in the '90s, bro, just seeing him young and shit, I just kind of laughed and shit, cause I was like, no way he looks like that. I don't know, I just couldn't believe it type shit. That's what he looked like when he was young type shit. I just couldn't believe it.
Her solo album, The Chronic, dropped later the same year, which was an instant classic and sold over 500,000 copies in the first week, proving Dre could stand on his own as a solo artist. Snoop was also featured heavily on the project, exposing the world to a future legend.
They were hot,
so, with his first major release, Death Row already had a classic album and was in a good position to become the most dominant.
And they had the star. They had the star power.
Fans were waiting for Snoop's solo album to drop next.
Right.
But Death Row had a major setback after Snoop and his bodyguard got booked for murder before he could finish the project. They were involved in a situation where a rival gang member was shot and killed. And even though it was Snoop's bodyguard who pulled the trigger, they were both arrested and charged with first-degree murder. But they eventually beat the case after Snoop hired Johnny Cochran, the lawyer who defended O.J. Simpson. Snoop then dropped his debut project, Doggy Style.
Doggy Style, baby. But why was Snoop even wrapped up? Again, I don't know the whole case, but if the lawyer pulled the trigger, or if the bodyguard pulled the trigger, why was Snoop even being charged with that? Was it felony murder or something?
And racked up over 800K sales in the first week.
Damn.
The murder case only created more hype around Snoop and made fans want to go out and listen to the album.
Damn,
Death Row was gaining a reputation for being one of the most dangerous labels in the music business, and Suge knew how to market that image. But it was only a matter of time before the drama got out of control. With the success of Snoop and Dre, Suge proves he had an eye for talent.
And he had stars, right?
If he wanted Death Row to become a powerhouse, he needed another superstar. So he decided to go after one of the biggest and most controversial rappers on the West Coast.
My man, Tupac.
By the mid-90s, Pac was having problems in his career. In 1994, he was shot 5 times in the lobby of Quad Studios in New York City, which is what started his beef with Biggie Smalls and Diddy. Pac always thought Big had set him up and sneak dissed him on the track.
And I gotta stop the video here because it's sad. It's always sad, bro. Because Tupac and Biggie were friends. They were friends before the fame and shit. And it's just sad to see to see so many like politics and to see so many other people get in between two friends and shit. It's sad to see that, and it also is sad to because my aunt made this point. I was talking because talk about, like I said, I'm a fan. I talk about this shit, and she made a good point. Why do they never call each other and just talk to each other about things? You know what I'm saying? And I think the answer to that is because they've got Suge Knight. You know what I'm saying? You've got P Diddy and Suge Knight in between everything. You know what I'm saying? Like basically controlling shit. You know what I'm saying? And making things worse type shit. And you got the whole media, hyping up the East versus West Coast beef. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like people got in between their friendship, and this is what it kind of led to them getting separated, them being on opposite sides, and then ultimately, unfortunately, both of them losing their lives. Rest in peace to both of them. But yeah, man, just with your friends, man, always make sure to try to call them and talk it out, no matter who you're bought, what you're bought. You know what I'm saying? If you're some producer or something, if you're big, you know what I'm saying? If you're big, you're famous. Always try to talk it out with your friends and try to talk it out with that person. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're hearing, so much from woo woo, it's gonna be negative. So.
Gotcha. Not long after that,
Or it's not gonna be negative. It won't be the truth. You know what I'm saying? It won't be what, what it's not gonna be. It's gonna be what their words of what they think type shit. It's not gonna be the actual person you're having the problem with actually discussing it. But a lot can be learned from the situation. That's why I'm going into it, and actually, because a lot can be learned from this. Yeah.
Pac was arrested on sexual abuse charges and was sent to Rikers Island while he was recovering from his injury. Around that time, Suge got the idea to invite him to Death Row. He knew signing a major talent like Tupac would make him the biggest label on the West Coast. Tupac also had the perfect image for Death Row. So Suge decided to make Tupac an offer he couldn't refuse. He visited Tupac at Clinton Correctional Facility and offered him a $3.5 million three-album deal.
That was back that money. That was 30 years ago.
Death Row was also owned by Interscope, so Suge was able to convince the co-founder Jimmy Iovine to sign over his contract. The deal became official on October 4th, 1995, giving Tupac the money he needed to appeal his conviction and post a $1.4 million bail to get him out of prison. So, Pac was now a free man and the newest artist on the Death Row roster. But it wouldn't take long for things to start going downhill. Right around the time Suge signed Tupac, he was also starting to beef with Diddy and Bad Boy. After the first meeting in August 1995, Suge dissed Puff at the Source Awards and sparked the entire war between the East and West Coast that night. Pac still suspected Big of setting him up to get shot at the studio. So by the time he came home from prison, the East Coast-West Coast beef was going crazy. Suge knew the controversy would help him sell more records, but nobody knew how deadly it would become. Tupac released All Eyes on Me in February 1996, a double album that sold 566,000 copies in the first week. It was the highest-selling album of Tupac's career and is now considered one of the greatest rap albums of all time. Suge had another classic under his belt, but he had no idea that things were about to spiral out of control. The East Coast-West Coast beef continued to heat up, and Suge's legal problems and involvement in the streets started to cause problems at the label. Just months after Death Row signed Tupac, Dre shocked the music industry by walking away from the label he co-founded and starting his own label.
Living with opioid addiction can be a struggle, trapped in a cycle of opioid use, withdrawal, and craving.
Aftermath Records. Dre had been fighting with Suge over the direction of the label.
Right.
Plus, he must have sensed that Death Row was headed in a bad direction, because only a few months later, Tupac would be dead. On September 7th, 1996, Tupac and Suge got into a brawl with a dude named Orlando Anderson in the lobby of the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas. Anderson was a member of the Southside Compton Crips and had recently been involved in an assault on Trayvon Lane, a mob Paru, and an employee of Death Row Records. So when Suge saw Anderson at the MGM Grand, he and his crew decided to jump him. Later that night, while Tupac and Suge were stopped at a traffic light, someone pulled up next to him and started letting off shots. They were both shot, but Suge survived, while Tupac died in the hospital days later. The murder of Tupac was the beginning of the end for Death Row.
Right, and you got a question, bro. Why'd they pull up and shoot him, bro? It's like you assaulted their crew first, then they got their get back, and then you get mad and shoot them, bro. Like, no. Don't get mad because you got when you already got somebody. You know what I'm saying? They got their get back. Okay, go get them next. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to pull up and just start, letting shots off, bro. Why don't you go beat his ass or something, go fight him? Like, and this is back in the day. That's what I'm saying. This is literally 30 years ago. So that I can't, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, damn, your man, you just got. Take that L, bro, and get up and you live another day. Like I'm saying, or go get them, just beat their ass, bro. Or I don't know, man. I don't understand that life. I don't know.
His death remained unsolved for over 20 years, leading to conspiracy theories about what happened. with Suge in the middle of most of them. In 2023, a member of the Southside Crips named Keefe D was finally arrested in connection with the murder.
Yep.
Keefe D had admitted to his role in the murder in interviews and claimed he was in the car with Orlando Anderson when it happened.
And that's crazy because I remember watching I remember watching him on like Death Row Records, or because they made like a little documentary like back in 2016, and I remember like him like just saying shit on TV. I'm like, bro, like he's literally admitting to being in the car. Like how's he not getting in trouble for this? Like, dude, like this is like he's behind taking one of the greatest rappers ever. He knows more about the people that took the greatest rapper ever from us. So I'm like, how's he just on TV just still sitting free all this time? It's been 20. Yeah, at that point it'd been like 20 years. Shit, this says police interview 2008. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how's he just sitting free all this damn time if he's known? And I'm glad right now he's currently in prison. I believe they got him in prison, or they got him on charges, which I'm glad. So.
Tape confession, Keefe D claimed that Diddy had paid them $1 million to take out either Tupac or Suge Knight. The case is still ongoing, so the truth about what really happened to Tupac that night is still a mystery. But most
and that's okay, because Diddy, and if that is true, you know what I'm saying, and we already know what, where everyone knows about Diddy now. So if that was true, then Diddy's getting everything he deserves now. You know what I'm saying? Even Biggie's mom said she wanted to slap the daylights out of the man. You know what I'm saying? So no one really rocks with Diddy like that, man.
Signing the death row and linking up with Suge is what got him killed. Without Tupac and Dre, the label started to fall apart.
Right,
after Tupac was killed, Suge was arrested.
Because, okay, I'm done pausing after this, but just because I know so much shit. Low-key, too, Snoop Dogg wasn't dropping music because Snoop Dogg didn't fuck with Suge like that. So that's another reason why, I don't know if it's in the video, if he's going to talk about it, but Snoop was not dropping any music at this time. I don't think, to be honest, from my research, when I was a kid, when I researched the shit, I don't think Snoop dropped any music until his contract, was up with them or expired or with them or some shit. Then he went over with Dre and started dropping more music, more classics in the early 2000s.
Arrested for violating his probation and was later sentenced to 9 years in prison in February 1997. In 1995, Suge pleaded no contest to assaulting 2 aspiring rappers at gunpoint and forcing them to strip naked after he caught them using the company phone.
Weird ass.
He was hit with 5 years of probation, which he violated when he jumped Orlando Anderson. To help pay his legal bills and keep the label alive, Suge rushed to release another Tupac album that he was working on right before his death. The Don Illuminati 7-Day Theory was released on November 5th, 1996, and sold 664,000 copies in the first week. Even though it was a commercial success, it got mixed reviews from fans and critics. While some said it was some of Pac's best work, others said it was rushed and seemed like more of a cash grab than a real album. A week later, Snoop dropped his second album, The Dogfather, which sold 479,000 copies in the first week. Even though it still went #1 on Billboard, it didn't live up to the hype of his first album, and many fans and critics consider it a major flop. That was the last record he dropped on Death Row. It didn't live up to Snoop dropped his second album, The Dogfather, which sold 479,000 copies in the first week. Even though it still went #1 on Billboard, it didn't live up to the hype of his first album, Billboard, and many fans and critics consider it a major flop.
How the fuck is it a flop?
That was the last record he dropped on Death Row.
This man almost sold 500K, went #1 on Billboard, and it was a flop? Hell no. I'm gonna just brush that off, man. I'm gonna shake that off like I did.
And in '97, he left the label and signed to Masterpiece No Limit Records.
Hell no.
With Death Row's 3 big artists gone and Suge looking at a long jail sentence, things were looking pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true.
The label continued for another 10 years and released albums from artists like Daz Dillinger, Lady of Rage, and Michelet.
Right.
But Death Row never reached the same heights it did in the beginning and was kept alive mostly by dropping unreleased music from Tupac. Suge eventually got out of prison in 2001.
Man, Suge Knight, you are sorry for that, bro, because you're like, man, my current talent, they can't keep my label alive, so I'm gonna keep milking Tupac for everything he has. Man, Suge.
Get back on top of the game. But by that point, most of the original artists had already gotten out of the contracts, and a lot of people didn't want to work with Suge. Suge was sent back to prison in 2003 for violating his probation again, and Death Row's funds started drying up fast. The final nail in the coffin came when Suge and Death Row were forced to declare bankruptcy after owing millions of dollars to creditors and the IRS. In 2002, the label pleaded guilty to tax evasion for failing to pay taxes on $826,000 in income in 1996 alone. Suge agreed to pay the back taxes plus a $100,000 fine, but he was also hit with several other lawsuits. The biggest was when a woman named Lydia Harris sued the label for over $100 million in unpaid royalties. Lydia was the ex-wife of Suge Knight's former business partner, Harry O, the man who helped co-found and finance Death Row from the very start. Lydia claimed she also helped start the label and was entitled to royalties. She ended up winning the lawsuit, which is what finally killed Death Row. By the time Suge declared bankruptcy, the label owed over $107 million to Lydia and Harry O, $6.9 million to the IRS, $2.5 million to Interscope, and even more to other record companies and former artists signed to the label.
Wow.
The rise and fall of Death Row Records is one of the craziest stories in the history of
rap.
No other label saw that fast of success, only to self-destruct within a few years.
Because, hey man, when you don't have the right leadership,
over the years, fans have pointed out a few different reasons.
When you got someone who's got their head in their ass, who, okay, I'm enjoying the success now, right? And I'm so high off the success now that I don't know where it's gonna take me down the line. You know what I'm saying? I'm only thinking about right now. No, when you first get that success, bro. That's when you got to start thinking about like what you're gonna do like from that point on. Because at that point on, you've hit a high note. Now you've got to stay relevant, bro. You've got to stay relevant because you got to keep making money, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's that time that you got to start. Man, and it just pisses me off. And it's like, man, all those people that put in that work and then didn't get paid. You know what I'm saying? It's just sad. You know, manage your shit. Pay your people, bro.
Death Row Records fell apart. One is Suge's management style. Suge originally convinced Dre to leave Jerry Heller and Ruthless Records for ownership.
Him and Dre would have stayed together.
But even though Dre was a co-owner,
and they would have ran that shit.
The one calling the shots. Suge did give Dre
was
ownership
clearly the better businessman than Suge, but Suge couldn't see that.
That would be a dream come true for most artists. But the situation at Death Row was so bad that Dre still chose to walk away and start his own label instead.
And it was a success.
After leaving Death Row for No Limit, Snoop said there was a huge difference between how Suge and Master P dealt with artists. He said that Suge made money in rap, and that Master P just put his money into rap, and that is a big difference. Snoop also said that it could have been more, but he still made a lot of money with Death Row.
It could have been way more.
Suge gave artists what he felt they deserved. At No Limit Records, Master P taught ownership. Snoop said that at Death Row, all of his cars were in Suge's name, but when he was with Master P at No Limit, their cars, houses, and accounts were all in their names, not Master P's.
And that's another thing, man. And I'm sorry to pause again, but I'm trying to give you guys like serious. You know, maybe this applies in your career because it applied to me, bro. It applied to me. So I'm gonna say this: like, you gotta eventually, as a boss, right? As a leader, should I say? Because a boss is the type that they want to control everything. They want everything in there. And you know what I'm saying? Like a Suge. What I'm gonna say is you gotta eventually empower your people. You know what I'm saying? You gotta empower your people to, to make them strong, to make them boss up. You know what I'm saying? So then they can go through that phase too and empower other people, bro. Because if you try to just like, I call it a chain of dictatorship, bro. No one's ever growing. You know what I'm saying? No one's ever, no one's ever gonna get it out of their ways, right? And that's eventually gonna create conflict, and we're seeing that with this, man. So always, just from like a business perspective, bro. If you're a manager or a leader, bro, try to empower your people if you can. You know what I'm saying?
Instead of teaching his artists how to get their own bag, Suge wanted total control over the profits so he could get rich. That was only one of the problems that led to the end of Death Row. Suge clearly had an eye for talent and knew how to promote artists.
But
Death Row didn't have much success outside of their main three rappers, Dre, Snoop, and Tupac. Dre's name was already buzzing in the industry when he met Suge from his days in NWA. He was also the one who discovered Snoop and brought him to the label. Tupac was also already a big name before he signed to Death Row and didn't really need Suge to put him on. After the success of The Chronic and Doggy Style, Suge could have started signing newer artists to be the next generation of Death Row. Instead, he spent a few mils signing Tupac, who was already popping and guaranteed to do numbers. It worked at first, but after Pac was killed, Snoop and Dre left, and nobody was there to hold it down for the label. And on top of that too, but Death Row's biggest downfall was all the unnecessary beef, legal issues, and lawsuits that came after Snoop and Dre dipped out. Suge was known to rule with intimidation, and his violent temper. And
another thing too that's heavily debated in the industry, and then because this is again, this interests me, so I researched it before, is that Pac was trying to leave anyway. Supposedly, maybe not. Yeah, in the movie, they're like Pac was trying to leave, but Suge Knight was trying to make him, the owner of like Death Row East or some shit like that. I heard Pac was like trying to go and start his own record label. I don't know if that's true. I didn't hear it, but I read about it. You know what I'm saying, as a kid and shit when I researched this. Is that Pac was trying to go out and start his own record label with the Outlaws, with his little like rap collective and stuff like that. But shit. So also I'm saying, even if Pac had lived, bro, Suge, you're still facing, because you've already got developed stars, bro, that want to leave and do their own thing. So you're still facing that issue of, okay, I can't ride their wave forever because they're eventually gonna leave. So I have to sign new talent. And this video actually made me realize something that's true. That Suge Knight, we think he's good at marketing people, right? But they're right. Outside of Snoop Dogg, Dre, and Tupac, it didn't really do good in terms of that, you know, marketing his talent, promoting the label. Like, I didn't realize that because this whole time I was like, damn, you know, Snoop, or at least Suge Knight has that smart business. But that's only so true, at least from in the marketing perspective, because outside like the video just said, outside of the three biggest people on his record label, he couldn't really, you know, market and get mainstream success to any of his other artists.
Created a bad working environment for most artists. DJ Quick,
and that too,
who was signed to Death Row in the mid-90s, described the atmosphere in an interview. He said, "Sometimes it was cool, but then it just became the streets, and that was all the stuff that he wanted to get away from in the first place."
Because no one wants to,
DJ Quick said you had to be hood just to deal with them and hold your own. He felt like they were constantly trying to make him scared, and DJ Quick wasn't rocking with all the gangbanging and negative energy while he was just trying to create music.
Exactly. You can feel that negative energy, bro. You can.
But after a while, it started to get dark, especially after the death of Tupac.
Yeah.
Suge knew how to use violence and controversy to sell records, but in the end, it cost him his freedom and the life of his biggest artist. He didn't have to throw himself into the beef with Diddy, but Suge knew it would build hype for the label. The move ended up backfiring overall because it turned half the country against him and stopped Death Row from growing outside of California and working with more East Coast artists. Plus, Suge wasn't putting on an act. He and his employees.
And see, that's back to my point. That's back to my point. You could actually argue that Suge Knight and Low-Key P. Diddy, they rigged, like, they in a sense rigged Tupac and Biggie's career, and they stopped them from growing in a sense. You know, obviously because they passed away, but I'm saying outside of that, they limited them. They said, look, you're only working with New York artists, you're only doing this. You know, no, okay. And then Suge Knight said, Tupac, you're only working with West Coast artists, you're only doing this and type shit. They low-key, in a sense, you could say that they kind of rigged the beef and rigged Tupac and Biggie's career and the video just said it, stopped them from growing, literally.
Life and gang-affiliated people.
And I'm only so pissed because you don't understand how much music that costs us. You know what I'm saying?
Last before the lawsuits and criminal charges start coming. Death Row was making over $100 million a year at the height of their success, but they were also known for their wild spending. So as soon as they stopped selling records and Suge got locked up, the money dried up quick. But there may still be hope for the future of Death Row. After the label declared bankruptcy in 2006, it was auctioned off to the highest bidder, and the back catalog was passed between a few different companies over the years. Then, in 2022, Snoop Dogg announced that he bought the rights to the Death Row trademarks and planned on reviving the label. A few weeks later, Snoop made it official by dropping an album called BODR, Back on Death Row, which was his first release on the label in 26 years. He also re-signed a few other former Death Row artists, including Corrupt, Daz Dillinger, and their group, the Dog Pound. Since then, he's been working hard to rebuild the label.
Oh yeah, RP. Hey, hold on. RP Nate Dogg too. RP Nate Dogg. RP Nate Dogg.
And Russell
Auto-tune, he had pure auto-tune.
Giving them Death Row chains.
Pure auto-tune, like that was in him.
Happy about Snoop's purchase of Death Row and Suge Knight. In an interview with TMZ from behind bars, Suge claimed that Snoop purchased the label illegally because his former business partner Harry Yo committed bankruptcy fraud to steal the company from him. According to Suge, Death Row was automatically forfeited to a company called MNRK during a bankruptcy hearing after his lawyer failed to show up in court. But Suge believes that the move was illegal and one day he'll take back ownership. Suge said that he settled the judgment in court, but they turned around and said that he never settled it. Suge also claimed that they committed bankruptcy fraud when they filed for bankruptcy in 1995, and it didn't have anything to do with Death Row. Suge said at the end of the day, he is Death Row, and he believes when it's all said and done, All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli will definitely come back to him with everything else. Death Row Records had one of the wildest runs of the 90s and changed the sound of hip-hop forever. Even if the label was never built to last,
and the inspiration,
they still were responsible for releasing timeless music.
You're right.
Learned his lesson sooner.
Timeless
he could have built the label into a massive empire. Instead, he fumbled the bag and destroyed the legacy of one of the most legendary labels in rap history.
Literally. And then hold on.
The future of your business is here. And
I'm gonna stop it right there just to say this, right? So on top of that, because he's talking about, oh, I'm gonna take back the label, bro. But what are you going to do with it? You're going to run it to the ground again. It's going to be shit. That's what you're going to do. I don't know. It just pisses me off, man. Yeah, Suge Knight, I don't know. I just get pissed off talking about this shit. But yeah, that's going to do it. I just had to hop on there for a quick little reaction video, man. I'm tired as hell. But I will be on tomorrow. But yeah, shit. Yeah, peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.